pray for some blessings. Pray for some blessings that we can understand something at least to what we'll be discussing today. Understand and also appreciate the wonderful writings of Srila Rupa Goswami and given to us by Srila Prabhupada. So most of us probably are knowing this prayer now. If not, you can read along or join us anyway. Nana Shastra Vichanana Kanepano Sattama Samstapako Lokanam Hitakaruna Tribhavane Manyan Saranya Koro Radha Krishna Padada Vindavajanam Nandela Mattalako Vande Rupa Sanatana Ragyago Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatana Ragyago Shri Jiva Gopalako. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Shri Sanatan Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing, studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. Jai Sat Goswamis ki jai. Hare Krishna. So let's first of all, the first task is to find out, confirm where we left off last week, and bring up my Nectar of Devotion online here. We're on chapter 50, I'm quite sure.
Yeah. The following is a conversation. That's the para we are starting.
Could you say that once more?
The following is a conversation consisting of questions.
Okay, I'm scrolling down. The following is a conversation. There are many. Sure, it's quite okay. I've got it here. Now I'm just moving a few things around on my screen because as I mentioned last week, I have a commentary on Bhakti Rasmrita Sindhu, the Nectar of Devotion, by Jiva Goswami. There's commentary by Jiva Goswami and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, and I was reading through it just now and also last week, and it does give some interesting little details which might help us to understand as well. And I've also got up on my screen the Ways of Devotion, which I've mentioned a few times. That's by Dhanurdhara Swami. So give us further insight for us to help us to try and understand this wonderful topic of rasa. All right, we all ready? Let's see. I saw some hands up. They're very eager. So Mother Lavanga Latika, you can begin today. And we'll do the same as we've been doing. We'll probably need to pause at each paragraph and just see if we're all kind of know to as much as, or at least let's see if we can all understand to some degree what's being said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll try and locate where we are in the commentary.
The topic is a conversation consisting of questions put before Ramba, a celebrated beautiful woman, and her corresponding answers. Ramba was asked, "My dear Ramba, who are you?" She answered, "I am peace personified." Question, then why are you in the sky? Answer, I am in the sky to experience the supreme absolute truth. Question, then why are you staring? Answer, just to look into the supreme beauty of the absolute truth. Question, then why do you appear to be disturbed in mind? Answer, because Cupid is acting. In the above example also, there is no perverted representation of mellows, because on the whole, the ecstasy of love has exceeded the neutral position of devotional service.
All right.
Oh.
Now, just as in for your interest, I was looking, just going back a little bit to last week, and there was one verse, just reading from this commentary here. For example, a desirous woman living in Kailash said, "May you live long," and then embraced Krishna with pleasure. So we had some discussion on that. Is we're trying to understand that particular pastime. Someone, I can hear my voice coming back. It's echoing a bit, but so, okay. Um, living in Kailash. Now, Jiva Goswami says that this case is imaginary, just for giving an example. Other examples should be understood to be similar. All right. So some of these examples are not actual leela, it seems, are not actual pastimes. Some are, and some are not. It's just to illustrate the topic of rasa, of where it's compatible or incompatible. So just keep something to keep in mind, and we'll highlight that if it comes up again. Yeah. But let's look at this. Okay, it's like jumping in a deep end of a swimming pool, isn't it? Trying to really fully
Yeah.
understand and appreciate. Yeah, any questions on this? Perhaps my best place
I
to
was-
start. Let's.
How would you know what that is? That's a pastime or it's not? I mean, I know you
Well, we
read it
won't
from that. We
unless
won't.
Jiva
Won't we?
Goswami tells us. Yeah,
Yes.
like that one in Kailash. Jiva
Yeah.
Goswami's said this case
Because
is imaginary. Yeah.
and we connected it to Pingala, didn't we? We were like going that way.
Yeah, and remember we also had a discussion about there was there was a verse that describes living in a cave.
Yes.
Remember that
Yes.
discussion? And
Yeah.
it was, and that is a example that because that's the mood, an example of someone in Shantaras. Do you remember we gave it out for what we call speculation? And three of us gave different ideas of what that meant, which, for one sense, they was credible. I think Mihai mentioned in regards to the Lord being in the cave of the heart. It's very nice, but actually, it's referring to the classic Shantaras, where yogis meditate in caves, and that was I learned that from reading Jiva Goswami's commentary. But yeah, so yeah, some let's yeah, so some of these examples might be imagined. Now, for sure, it doesn't mean that everything is. Some of these are well-known pastimes and leelas.
Also, Prabhu, it could mean that we could use our brain and see where it connects, like we've been doing the last.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
It helps us.
example of Pingala and all that. So it just gets your memory going to connect
Yeah,
it,
it's good.
although it's
Yeah,
imaginary.
yeah. It serves its purpose. I mean, it serves its purpose. It helps us to understand
Yeah.
the combination of rasa, and also it's very intriguing as well. So, let's look at this then. Any questions about this? So we clear here. So Ramba is she's a I said here she's
Personified.
like old she's one of the
Apsara.
heavenly damsels.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apsara, that's it.
Apsara, yeah. Yeah.
Let me just see if it's connected to the previous verse, previous paragraph. Doesn't seem to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's just look at this. My dear Ramba, who are you? She answered, I am peace personified. Question. Then why are you in the sky? Then why are you in the sky? I mean, why is that being mentioned? Why are you in the sky? I just had it here. Find it again. Yeah. Why are you in the sky? Answer. I am in the sky to experience the supreme absolute truth. Question. Then why are you staring? Answer. Just to look into the supreme beauty of the absolute truth. Question. Then why do you appear to be disturbed in mind? Answer. Because Cupid is acting. In the above example, also there is no perverted representation of mellows. Because on the whole, okay, we discussed this last week, the ecstasy of conjugal love has exceeded the neutral position of devotional service. Yes, did I hear someone's voice? Was that just then?
Yeah, I was thinking,
Yeah, please.
I mean, the sky, referring to the impersonal Brahman? Or
Yeah, we could say that, yeah. I'm trying to find it here. It's the
Also,
thing, trying to
did
find
not,
it.
you know, when Krishna's pastimes are going on, or Krishna is doing, like demigods looking from the sky, so this Apsara from that
oh, yeah,
planet is
yeah.
looking
Yeah,
from
yeah, good point. Yeah, that's it. They're you
seeing
could say they're,
Krishna.
yeah, very good. Like they're observing, and as we know,
Yeah.
the demigods often observing Krishna's Leela in great wonder.
Sorry. She's staring because she's like, you know, the Cupid got her, you know, seeing the beauty of Krishna.
So, yeah, and the absolute truth is Krishna.
Yeah.
So she's looking at the supreme beauty of Krishna. And why is she
Yeah.
disturbed in mind? Well, it's got because she's been shot by the arrows of the supreme Cupid. Yeah, Krishna. Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, so because as we mentioned last week, with the conjugal, with the sthayi bhava of conjugal love, then sometimes they may speak in contradictory ways. Imagine like sometimes Radharani might not want to see Krishna. So that might sound incompatible. A lover doesn't want to see her beloved.
Yeah.
No? But it's not, because it's based on supreme because it's based on this conjugal love, so therefore these things are often said.
Talking
So
in riddles, that like
sorry?
talking in riddles with her girlfriends when she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Okay, this is the next interesting verse. Perhaps this is from Rukmini. It's a well-known verse in the Bhagavatam. Good one for ladies. So who would like to read this one? Monica, Mother, you'd like to read this one? I guess I'll call you name. You've got hands up.
Yes. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 16th chapter, verse 45, Rukmani Devi said, "My dear husband, a woman who has no taste for the transcendental pleasure available from your personal contact must be inclined to accept as her husband somebody who is externally a combination of mustache, beard, body hairs, fingernails, and some head hair. And within him, there are muscles, bones, blood, intestinal worms, stool, mucus, bile, and similar things. Actually, such a husband is only a dead body, but due to not being attracted to your transcendental form, a woman will have to accept this combination of stools and urine for her husband. This statement, which lists the ingredients of a material body, is not a perverted mellow in transcendental realization because it shows correct discrimination between matter and spirit."
All right. It's about time there's some verses like this, isn't there?
What a put off.
Normally it's verses the other way around from a man's perspective towards women, but here it's the other way around. So this is a refreshing difference.
We have, didn't we have an example? Was it Chintamani?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
When after the funeral, Birvamanga Thakur, when after the funeral, climbed up the snake all the way to a place, and
Yeah.
was that the story?
No, there's another pastime. I don't remember the name, but
What's the
I don't remember the names. But he goes to see this lady, and with all this much difficulty, And he said, I want to spend some time with you. And she said, okay, come back after so long.
Oh, yes.
She
Bucket of-
starved herself,
Yeah.
and she had all this bucket of everything which is inside our body. Said, this is what you fell in love with, not me, because she'd lost all weight and luster of her face. And he said,
Yeah.
if you just showed that compassion, that intensity towards Krishna, you would have this beauty forever. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what it says.
Liquid beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liquid beauty. I like that.
That's
So,
what it's
Jiva Goswami says here about this paragraph that, or this verse, this is 84871. Conflict in rasas concerning different objects, Madhurya ras for Krishna, and this is ghastliness for common men. Yeah. But because it's true,
Yeah.
because it actually is describing the real difference between matter and spirit,
Yeah.
then it is not wrong. It's not a perverted mellow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a statement of fact.
Yeah.
Interesting fact. Yeah. All right. Perhaps each devotee, perhaps you can each read a couple of paragraphs. Perhaps you can read again on this next one.
In the Vidaga Madhava, second act, verse 31, Krishna tells his friend, my dear friend, what a wonderful thing it is that since I have seen the beautiful lotus eyes of Srimati Radharani, I have developed a tendency to spit on the moon and the lotus flower. This is an example of conjugal love mixed with ghastliness, but there is no incompatibility. The following is, sorry.
We'll just pause there. I think that's quite straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, my dear friend, what a wonderful thing that it is since I've seen the beautiful lotus eyes of Radharani. I've developed the tendency to spit on the moon and the lotus flower. So, bhava rasa is ghastliness. Yeah. Yeah, so that one's fine. That's okay. There's no problems. That's
So where's the incompatibility?
no. It says there is no incompatibility.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So is it the beauty of Radharani and the lotus flower? Is that the incompatibility?
It says there is no
So
incompatibility.
that's what I'm saying. So is that the not incompatibility? Is that what it is? That between Radharani's eyes and the
Well, yeah. Well, in a sense that actually, I was reading yesterday again in the and yeah, and the pastime about the pearls. What's it called? Mukta Charita. And I actually made a mistake. It's not by Rupa Goswami. It's by Raghunath Das Goswami. But there's a whole section there where Radharani's of that Vrindavan forest is just a reflection of the incomparable body and qualities of Radharani. So actually everything else is just hinting at the most, at the beauty of Radharani. So for instance, her lotus eyes.
Yeah.
The moon may seem
perfect.
glorious, the full moon night may seem glorious, but in comparison to Radharani's lotus eyes, there is actually, I said, is it a kind of spite or spit on the full?
Yeah.
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 And the lotus flower, which is, yeah, which is celebrated. I think one place, Srila Prabhupada says, just by looking at the lotus, then one can be, it is so beautiful that it can give you peace of mind.
Yeah.
But compared to Radharani's eyes,
Yeah.
Yes, Mother Lavanga, you say.
Yeah, I was just thinking like the moon and the lotus. I mean, they're integral like elements of the pastimes of Krishna and Radharani. There's always the moon, there's always lotus
Yeah.
flowers. So, I mean, to say you would spit on them seems a little bit like disrespectful.
Yeah, these are
You'd have to be
statements
very
of love.
You'd have to be
Yeah,
very
these-
that.
Yeah, these are statements of love. Sometimes in love, these things may be said, but it's not as if, as is who's Krishna. It's not as if Krishna has constant a constant contemplable attitude towards the moon, because as you said, actually Krishna likes the full moon very much. Why does he like the full moon very much?
Rasa dance.
Rasa dance.
Yeah, because the full moon is the Sharad or the Sharat Ponim. It's the day when is the night when he sees it's just the right time. You know, the best time is there's many rasas, but one in at that time the best time and the best place is Vrindavan, and the most pure-hearted lady, the most pure-hearted servants are the gopis, and it's a full moon, and now it's a good time to engage in ras. That's why it's one of the qualities of Krishna that he's a good judge of time, place, and circumstance, and that's given as an example. Yeah, time, place, and circumstance. Vrindavan, the full moon, and the beautiful gopis. You know? So yeah, this is a statement of love. Sometimes they can do and say extreme things, but this is love. Yes, so Chandravali, was that your voice?
Yeah,
I heard.
I was just thinking the same, what Labanga was saying, because like you said, Krishna loves full moon, and if moon is really beautiful, it's quite often compared, right? Lotus flower is
Yeah,
really
it's
nice.
used in poems. It's very poetic, and it's used a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But when he has seen Radharani's eyes, then these things are not beautiful, not as beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In comparison,
Yes.
they do not actually compare.
Yeah.
Yeah, not compare. Actually, sometimes it's described poetically, but actually it's the fact that the moon takes the beauty of Radharani's eyes, and then has the effulgence, because it's all coming from Radharani. Also, ultimately, it's all coming from Radha Krishna. Anything that has any beauty in this world is actually coming from Radha and Krishna. So we can imagine if you look at the moon and how beautiful that is, and then to actually have darshan of Radha and Krishna, where all worldly beauty is just a reflection of, especially if you have purified senses, then it's overwhelming. Yeah? And just to see that form is a cause of great devotion. All right, let's perhaps Sahachari Mother, you have your hand. You could read a couple of paragraphs.
The following is a statement which describes different mellows of devotional service. Although Krishna was invincible to any enemy, the cowherd boys of Vrindavan became almost blackish with astonishment upon seeing his wonderful royal garments and his fighting feats on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. In this statement, although there is a mixture of chivalrous activities and dread in devotional service, there is no perverted reflection of mellows.
Yeah. Okay, perhaps read the next one as well.
Yeah, okay. One resident of Mathura requested her father to bolt the doors and then go with her to the school of Sandipani Muni to find Krishna. She complained that Krishna had completely stolen her mind. In this incident, there is a mixture of conjugal love and parental love, but there is no incompatibility.
Okay, let's just look back at this. Any questions about this or any reflections? Different mellows of devotional service. So, let's see here. Says the verse is written here, seeing Krishna victorious as he enacted skillful fighting pastimes in the combat arena, the hairs of all his young friends stood on end on ecstasy. However, the complexions of Kamsa and other enemies became black with fear. Right? Does that shed any? Although Krishna was invincible to any enemy, the cowherd boys became almost interesting. How it's written different here, isn't it?
Mm.
Said that the cowherd boys
Became
became
black.
almost blackish with astonishment upon seeing the wonderful royal garments and his fighting feet on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But here it says that Kamsa and his enemies became black with fear. Yeah.
Oh.
So sometimes there's maybe some transcendental, what's the word? Contradiction between the chariots. They see it in a different way, according to their inspired transcendental intelligence. Yeah. Anyone has any comments or questions?
I was just thinking something, maybe it's funny, but these acharyas are in these pastimes, right? So they then are seeing that pastime in their own thinking away, and they're commenting like that. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
Well, not all the acharyas are in every pastime. They
No.
might not be directly involved, but
But if it's Jiva Goswami, yes,
yeah.
Isn't it also different kalpas?
Not when we could bring that in, but I don't think we could bring that in here. I think it's just a difference of
Agree to
interpretation
disagree.
of the Sanskrit. I mean, both work. Both work. In other words, to what Jiva Goswami says here. However, the complexions of Kamsa and other enemies become black with fear, as in compared to the cowherd boys whose hair is standing on end. And Prabhupada says here, the cowherd boys became almost blackish with astonishment upon seeing the wonderful royal garments and his fighting feats on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Let me just see if I can look in what. So one thing is, I may have these different sources to look at, but it's trying to find, because Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion doesn't have the verses. It doesn't have the verse numbers. So trying to find it is not so easy. Let me just see if it okay, let me look here. Okay, this is what Dhanurdhara Swami says. A third example describes Krishna in the wrestling arena of Kamsa. So this is third example means now we're hearing different examples of Ashraya and Vishaya, the lover and the abode of love. So there's different examples. We're hearing the different Ashraya. The third example describes Krishna in the wrestling arena of Kamsa. When Krishna was victorious, the cowherd boys experienced vira rasa, chivalry, but the demons felt bhayanaka rasa, fear. Chivalry and fear usually cause distaste when mixed. Yeah, it doesn't go. But in this case, there is no viratsata, because the reservoirs, ashraya, of the incompatible rasas are different. The boys are the ashraya of chivalry, the demons are the ashraya of fear. Alright, so if that has a bit complicated there. So ashraya means they are the abode of that. So the cowherd boys, they are the abode of the chivalry, of the virya rasa. And the demons are the abode of fear. Alright, so don't know if that shed any more light on it.
That's what I was thinking as well. I was thinking how Krishna comes in the arena and everybody sees all this in a different light.
Yeah, that's mentioned there in the Krishna book, isn't it? It's often given as an example of, and it's specifically given by, I think Sukadeva Goswami is giving how everyone has a different relationship with Krishna, and he
Yes.
comes in. So here we're seeing,
Yes,
the
that's
cowherd
very
boys. We can just imagine. I mean, I don't know if it's such a good example, but when I was younger, often you boys get into fights, isn't it? So when one of our group would have a fight with someone else, then it would all get in this vira rasa, and speak about what happened and this and that and this and that. This happened and they did this and then they did that, you know. So here we can see that the cowherd boys must get very excited especially when they see Krishna and Balaram start to defeat Chanura and Mustika, isn't it? That they're wrestling, that Vira Ras. And so they are. So the word Ashraya means they are the abode of that chivalry. But the demons, they're feeling fear, and especially Kamsa, he's feeling great fear. Yeah, interesting. The definition of the word blackish and how Prabhupada uses it, and how and how Jiva Goswami describes it. And the next paragraph is one resident of Mathura requested her father to bolt the doors and then go with her to the school of Sandipani Muni to find Krishna. She complained that Krishna had completely stolen her mind. In this instant there was a mixture of conjugal love and parental love, but there is no incompatibility. Okay, so these scientists of rasa out there, how can we understand this more?
Okay.
Yeah. There's a commentary from Jiva Goswami. Let's see if we can. So Kasya is Sandipani Muni. The girl shows Dasyaras towards her father. All right. So one resident of her father, okay, to bolt the doors and then go with her to the school of Sandipani Muni. The girl shows Dasyaras towards her father. And that's not Sandipani Muni, obviously. By the strength of her feelings, however, even here is no interference with her Madhurya Rasa. Okay, I got it. So this parental part is speaking about this lady's relationship with her father. It's not in relationship to Krishna. All right? Obviously, it's not in. Yeah, so it's interesting. Thank you, Jiva Goswami. Helped us to, otherwise we're looking at parental love in relationship to Krishna, isn't it? Or
No, I was
Vatsalya.
thinking parental love with girl and the father.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't thinking like that, but yeah. So
Isn't-
perhaps we can learn from now on that sometimes these terms are given in general and not specifically in regards directly to Krishna. So the parental love affection is this girl and her father. Yeah.
And the conjugal her feeling for
Yeah.
Krishna.
But there's no incompatibility.
Yeah. Completely
Yeah.
two situations.
Yeah.
Isn't that like you see, the girl is so into Krishna, the mind's gone. So okay, I'm going to tell my father to take me there. Isn't that nice? To be in that.
Yeah. 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 When Krishna would travel, as you know, he'd go from Dwarka to Mathura to Vrindavan and different places. And he'd travel through villages and towns, and everywhere he would travel to, then because he's the reservoir of all beauty, he's Krishna, he's the supreme attractable person. So probably everywhere he went, he would attract everyone. Okay, let's read the next paragraph. Perhaps we'll make it spontaneous from now. Anyone who would like to read, you can.
A Brahmanandi impersonalist expressed his desire as follows. When shall I be able to see that supreme absolute personality of Godhead, who is eternal bliss and knowledge, and whose chest has become smeared with red kumkum powder by touching the breast of Rukmini? Here there is a mixture of conjugal love and neutrality. Although this is a contradiction of Mellows, there is no incompatibility because even a Brahmanandi will become attracted to Krishna.
Okay, so quite easy, this one to understand. Yeah. All right, someone can read the next one. Nanda Maharaj.
Shall I read? Shall I read?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
Nanda,
open now. Anyone,
yeah.
whoever reads first
Okay.
can read.
Nanda Maharaj told his wife, "My dear Yashoda, although your son Krishna is as delicate, soft as the Malika flower, he has gone to kill the Keshi demon, who is as strong as a mountain. Therefore, I've become a little disturbed. But never mind. All auspiciousness to my son. I shall raise this hand, which is as strong as a pillar, and I shall kill the Keshi demon, just to give freedom from all anxieties to the inhabitants of Raj Mandala." In this statement, there are two kinds of mellows, chivalry and dread. Both of them, however, improve the position of parental love, and therefore there is no incompatibility.
Yeah. Here, there's a few verses here which seems Prabhupada hasn't commented on. So perhaps we no need to read them. Yeah, so another no incompatibility, so that means it's easier for us to understand. Any insights or questions about this or appreciations? Yeah.
Krishna is so soft, and his father is so worried because Krishna is just like very, very soft and sort of sweet and young, and the Keshi demon is like so strong as a mountain. So that gave concern to Nanda Maharaj.
Yeah,
Because
so,
it's two opposites, total opposites. They're not even like on par with the fighting. One is just like so soft and supple, and one is so strong as a mountain. So
yeah, that also came up in regards to the wrestling match as well. There was some people in the audience actually some people who saw the wrestlers and approaching and they knew it's going to wrestle Krishna. Some of them walked out of the arena.
wow.
They thought it was so unfair and so unjust that they couldn't stand to see it.
Yeah.
And I think was Mother Yasoda there? The residents of Vraj were there? No, they wasn't there. It was just the cowherd boys, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the wrestling, they were there.
They were there for the wrestling match,
Yeah,
Mother
because
Yasoda.
mothers were there, and mothers felt so parental love,
But I thought
I thought they weren't there. Yeah.
no, there they
I think
got
Howard
was
Boys was there. Yeah.
they're in Vrindavan.
That's
No,
right. Yeah, Murli
what
Prabhu.
I really feel they were
I
there.
thought they were sitting up near
Yes,
Kamsa because of their relation to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say that again. You thought?
They sat somewhere up near Kamsa's platform.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the-
Okay, I take your word for it. Well, I can't remember exactly. Okay, so they were there. So because it is mentioned that the parents of Krishna, I just couldn't remember who Devika or Yasoda. They were seeing as it's been mentioned. They were seeing the wrestlers and considering Krishna's soft lotus-like body that was very much in anxiety. And it's written here. Yeah, here it's written as chivalry, Vira, and
Dread.
I'm just reading Jiva Goswami, that it nourishes the Vatsalya Ras, as we heard before, isn't it? When Krishna's in danger, then it brings to the forefront, or it increases the Vatsalya Bhav of Mavya Soda,
Yep.
of the elders, because they're feeling so much for the protection of Krishna. So it actually nourishes. So this nourished the Vatsalya Ras. Yeah, and here it reads as, Dear Yasoda, your son is softer than a jasmine flower. Here it's got Maliki flower. Might be the same.
Oh,
And Keshi demon is harder than a mountain. Because of this, my mind is quivering. Let my son have all auspiciousness. Raising this pillar, I will pulverize this demon and make Gokul worthy of praise. Alright, so
so my
this is
my
Nanda Maharaj is speaking. Nanda Maharaj is speaking.
okay. Yes. So
Raise this pillar, I will pulverize this demon.
yes. So Prabhu, my take is the dread is the fear of Krishna being hurt. That's the dread. And chivalry
Yeah,
is that Nanda Maharaj says, I will go and kill the demon to protect my son. So that's chivalry.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's being, and this is, and it's being enhanced, or his mood of
That's right.
Vatsalya
Yeah.
is being enhanced by this apparent danger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, someone could read the next paragraph. In the Lalita Madhava, it begins. Let's see.
I can read if you want.
Yeah, yeah.
In the Lalita Madhava of Srila Rupa Goswami, it is stated, after Krishna's arrival in Kamsa's arena, Kamsa's priest looked at Krishna with a distasteful expression. The entire arena was filled with dread on the part of Kamsa and his priest, and restless expressions of pleasure on the cheeks of Krishna's friends. Frustration was left by his envious rivals. The great sages meditated. Hot tears were in the eyes of Devaki and other motherly ladies, and hair stood on the bodies of the expert warriors. There was the astonishment in the hearts of demigods such as Indra. The servants danced, and the restless eyes of all the young girls glanced about. In this statement, there is a description of a combination of different mellows, but there is no incompatibility.
So this is, I think, this is that verse we was referring to. Seems like it's referred to by Rupa Goswami in the Lalita Madhava, how everyone's got different relationships with Krishna, and they are reacting in different ways. Yeah. So Krishna's Kamsa's priest is there. Restless expression, Krishna's friends. Frustration felt by his envious rivals. The great sages meditated. Hot tears, that means tears not of joy, but tears of dread or unhappiness were in the eyes of Devaki and other motherly ladies. The demigods were astonished. The servants danced. Alright, interesting, they're dancing. And the restless eyes of all young girls glanced about. So there's a lot going on there. Let me just read here from Jiva Goswami. I just read, yeah. When perspiration became visible on the forehead of Krishna as he held up Govardhan heel in his left hand, Yasoda began trembling with fear, thinking that Govardhan would fall upon him. Her eyes opened wide in astonishment on seeing the boldness. So Jiva Goswami is speaking about Krishna lifting Govardhan hill here. Let's see if I've got the right place. Yeah. seeing on his boldness of a 7-year-old of a 7-year-old boy when he raised his left hand to lift the heel, but her cheeks were filled with laughter on seeing the playful expressions on his face as he smiled at his friends Hasyaras. Tears flowed from her eyes on seeing him with her left hand held high for 7 days, Karuna Rasa. Her cloth became wet as milk flowed from her breast out of affection for her son, Vatsalya Ras. May this Queen of Raj protect the whole world. Right, let me just check if this verse is not coming up in Prabhupada's. Oh, this is the last paragraph we're on now. Right, so there you go. There's a whole different view, a whole different pastime being brought up by Jiva Goswami here in regards to the verse. Anyway, we better just left to wonder at that. There you go. Perhaps I can just read the last paragraph here. A similar statement which is freed from incompatibility is in the Lalita Madhava. Oh, actually, sorry, my mistake. He's obviously just, you have to excuse me, because trying to identify the verse which goes here. It seems like Jiva Goswami is speaking about this last paragraph here. A similar statement which is free from incompatibility is in the Lalita Madhava, wherein the author blesses all the readers of the book in the following manner. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is able to lift a mountain with a finger of his left hand, he is always humble and meek. He is always very kind to his loving devotees. He has frustrated Indra's attempt at vengeance by refusing him the sacrifice of Indra Yagna. He is the cause of all pleasure to all young girls. May he be ever compassionate upon you all. Yes, I'm sorry, my mistake. That is the one I just read is obviously in relationship to this. Right. So that ends chapter 50, further analysis of mixed rasas. And we're ready to go into the last chapter of the Nectar of Devotion. A roar of approval.
We need to start the book all over again to understand it better. Really, I thought it's a good, because
I mean,
we've got, the way you were talking about this other vibhava and all that, we've done it, but you can't remember things. It'd be good to...
Yeah, vyabhicari and anubhava, vyabhicari.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the right time, but let's just. I'm just going to look now how long this chapter is. It's relatively short.
It's very small. According to me, it's 5 minutes read.
5 minutes read.
On the Kindle.
So let me just find it here in Dhanurdhara Swami's. This is the Northern Ocean, the 9th wave. It's called rasabhasa. Now, well, perhaps I'll leave a couple of minutes at the end, because we have to decide what book we're going to read next. And I've got one idea, but we'll leave it to discussion after. Okay? So
you can read.
Okay. Perverted Expression of Mellows. Okay. Now, this starts from, I'm just reading aloud, this starts from Bhakti Rasmrita Sindhu 491. So I'm finding 491 in the commentary by Jiva Goswami. Okay, so here we go. Rasabhasa, or incompatible mixtures of mellows, may be classified as uparasa, false expression, anurasa, imitation, and aparasa, perverted or misrepresented mellows. There is a following statement by an impersonalist who had just seen Krishna. When a person is passed completely from all contamination of material existence, he relishes the transcendental bliss of being established in trance, But as soon as I saw you, the original personality of Godhead, I experienced the same bliss. This perverted reflection of mellows is called Santa Uparasa, or perverted reflection of mixed impersonalism and personalism. Now let me just read from Dhanurdhara Maharaj. He says, in the beginning of this chapter he mentions 5 emotional elements compose rasa. As we know, that's the main sthayi bhava. If one of these elements is inappropriate or missing, a distortion or perversion manifests in the rasa, called rasabhasa. To illustrate this example, Jiva Goswami compares rasa to sweet rice, which is also composed of 5 elements: milk, sugar, rice, cardamom, and fire, and cannot properly manifest if one of these ingredients is inappropriate or missing. If the cook mistakes salt for sugar, for example, or if he forgets to light the stove, the result will be payas abasha. Payas means sweet rice, something that appears similar to sweet rice but tastes distorted. So it's another preparation. When a compositional element of rasa is inappropriate or distorted, the result is rasabhasa. It appears similar to rasa, but the taste is distorted. Alright. Let me read one more paragraph. There is another statement as follows: whenever I am glancing, I simply see your personality. Therefore I know that you are the uncontaminated Brahman effulgence, the supreme cause of all causes. I think that there is nothing but you in the cosmic manifestation. This is another example of uparasa, or perverted reflection of impersonalism and personalism. Alright, we better stop there and see if we've... we understand this? This is clear or not?
Not clear. Okay, let me release it.
Yeah, in one sense, this first paragraph, there is no comparison actually, and that's mentioned in early on in the Nectar of Devotion. It's mentioned early that the comparison is given. For instance, there's a certain bliss that's experienced in Brahman, but in comparison to the bliss of Krishna consciousness, it doesn't compare. But here a comparison is being made. So you cannot make that comparison. It's rasabhasa. There is no comparison to the bliss experienced by a devotee, a perfected devotee, and someone who's emerged or is meditating on Brahman. So, Shanta Uparasa. Does that help? Is that? Yeah. And again, when I'm glancing the next paragraph, I'm simply see your personality. Therefore, I know you are the uncontaminated Brahman effulgence, the supreme cause of all causes. I think there's nothing but you in the cosmic manifestation.
So I was thinking, I'm glancing, I simply see your personality. So that's personal. And the Brahman effulgence is impersonalism.
Yeah. Why don't we, I suggest we've got 5 minutes left. Why don't we just break the trend a bit and let's just read this so we can finish and then go back on this. And when the time we have, we can bring up any questions. Yeah. So perhaps someone would like to read?
Yeah, I read.
Yeah, go ahead. You can just read the rest of this, Mother Lavanga.
Okay. When Madhu Mangala, an intimate friend of Krishna, was dancing before Krishna in a joking manner, no one was paying attention to him, and he jokingly said, "My dear Lord, please be merciful upon me. I am praying for your mercy." This is an example of uparas in fraternal affection and brutality. Kamsa once addressed his sister Devaki as follows: My dear sister, having seen your dear son Krishna, I think that he is so strong that he can kill even wrestlers as strong as mountains. So I'll have no more anxieties about him, even if he is engaged in a terrible fight. This is an instance of upara in a perverted reflection of parental love. In the Lalita Madhava, Srila Rupa Goswami says, the wives of the Yagnika Brahmanas were all young girls, and they were attracted to Krishna in the same way as the gopis of Vrindavan. Out of their attraction, they distributed food to Krishna. Here, the two devotional mellows are conjugal love and parental love, and the result is called uparas in conjugal love. One of the friends of Srimati Radharani told her, My dear friend Gandharvika Radharani, you are the most chaste girl in our village, but now you have divided yourself and are partially chaste and partially unchaste. It is all due to Cupid's influence upon you after you saw Krishna and heard the sound of his flute. This is another example of uparas caused by divided interests in conjugal love. According to some expert learned scholars, the feelings between lover and beloved create perverted reflections of mellows in many ways. The gopis have become purified by Krishna's glance, and as such, Cupid's influence is distinctly visible on their bodies. Although in the material sense, the glancing of a boy at a girl is a kind of pollution, when Krishna threw his transcendental glance at the gopis, they became purified. In other words, because Krishna is the absolute truth, any action by him is transcendentally pure. After Krishna chastised the Kaliya Nag in the Yamuna river by dancing on his heads, the Kaliya Nag's wives addressed Krishna. Dear cowherd boy, we are all only young wives of the Kaliya Nag, so why do you agitate our minds by sounding your flute? Kaliya's wives were flattering Krishna so that he would spare their husband. Therefore, this is an example of uparas, or false expression. One devotee said, My dear Govinda, here is a nice flowery bush in Kailash. I am a young girl, and you are a young poetic boy. After this, what more can I say? You just consider. This is an example of uparas caused by impudence in conjugal love. When Narada Muni was passing through Vrindavan, he came to the Bandiravan forest and saw in one of the trees the many famous parrot couple that always accompanies Lord Krishna. The couple was imitating some discussion they had heard upon the Vedanta philosophy, and thus were seemingly arguing upon various philosophical points. Upon seeing this, Narada Muni was struck with wonder, and he began to stare without moving his eyelids. This is an example of anuras, or imitation. When Krishna was fleeing from the battlefield from a distant place, Jarasandha was watching him with restless eyes and was feeling very proud. Being thus puffed up with his conquest, he was repeatedly laughing. This is an example of aparas.
Aparas.
Everything in connection with Krishna is called ecstatic devotional love, although it may be exhibited in different ways, sometimes in the right order and sometimes as a perverted reflection. According to the opinion of all expert devotees, anything that will arouse ecstatic love for Krishna is to be taken as an impetus for transcendental mellow. Thus end Bhaktivedanta summary of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
A momentous occasion. Well done, everyone. Hare Krishna. We have completed the Nectar of Devotion on
Yeah.
the 10th of February 2022. And let me just read the concluding words. Srila Rupa Goswami concludes by saying that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is very difficult for ordinary men to understand. Okay, that's us. Yet he hopes that Lord Krishna, the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead, will be pleased with his presentation of this book. By rough calculation, it is estimated that Srila Rupa Goswami finished Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in Gokul Vrindavan in the year 1552. While physically present, Srila Rupa Goswami was living in different parts of Vrindavan and his headquarters were in the temple of Radha Damodar in the present city of Vrindavan. The place of Rupa Goswami's bhajan, his execution of devotional service, is commemorated still. There are two different tomb-like structures at the Radha Damodar temple. One structure is called his place of bhajan, and the other his body is entombed. Behind this very tomb I have my place of bhajan, but since 1965 I've been away. The place, however, is being taken care of by my disciples. By Krishna's will, I am now residing at the Los Angeles temple of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This purple is finished today, the 30th of June, 1969. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Wonderful, yeah? And it's still being maintained now. It looks a bit different now. They built a whole structure over it. All right, so I guess we should ask if there on that is there any anything that became clear, any specific questions from this last chapter 51? Perhaps difficult to penetrate, but the last paragraph seemed to clarify something like this uparas. I was thinking that this rasabhasa or aparas would be something that is wrongly ascertained or wrongly written, or someone may speak of Krishna's pastimes in a wrong way. And that is there because we read a paragraph, isn't it, where Prabhupada warns against that. But here, this is another definition. That, in other words, that there may sometimes, because the love is exhibited in different ways, it may not always be in the right order. Yeah, but over and above, it states in the last sentence, according to opinion of expert devotees, anything that will arouse ecstatic love for Krishna is to be taken as good. I don't know if I've understood it correctly. So sometimes there may be a wrong combination of rasa sometimes. Anyway, anyone can comment on that? Or any questions? I'm just looking for. There's not many commentaries here by Jiva Goswami. Perhaps reading this last paragraph is a bit, or this last chapter is a bit humbling, and the last one, because it's very difficult to penetrate of actually what's being said exactly. But go on.
I'm just thinking, I don't know, I'm thinking that they kind of express like different rasas, a couple of different rasas, but coming to that word uparas, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, let me just, yeah. So this is what Dhanurdhara Swami says. Well, he says quite a bit, and we won't have time to read the whole thing actually. Let me just read it here a little bit. Let us imagine a devotee whose sthayi bhava is Madhurya Rati. It's 5:7. If this devotee meets the forearm Narayan, her Madhurya Rati will not be able to properly mature and express itself. Lordly Narayan is an inappropriate Vishaya for Madhurya Ras. He is the proper Vishaya for Shantaras. Okay. From one angle, distortion of rasa occurs because the vibhava is deficient and incompatible with the sthayi bhava. This is rasabhasa. From another angle, distortion of rasa occurs because elements of shantaras contacted elements of madhurya ras, which are incompatible. Depending on the angle of vision, the same phenomena may be viewed as vira sata or rasabhasa. So yeah, so according to the how it's looked upon, it may sometimes be correct and sometimes be not correct. And I think I better humbly not comment any more on it, because without some more deeper study. All right. So what we're going to do next Thursday? I think we've got an idea. I think we've got an idea, because we're coming to the end of Sutta Bhakti-Chintamani as well, isn't it? So I think there was some speak of Bhagavad-Gita. Was that right?
What does everybody want?
I was, yeah. What about this
What are
one?
you comfortable with?
So we're going to do Bhagavad-Gita? Bhagavad-Gita.
Yeah, that's
No, I can't see what that book is.
Srimad Bhagavatam.
yeah, that's really
No,
good,
read-
Muni Prabhu.
read Bhagavatam.
Venugita?
No,
We've done that.
Oh, yeah.
This
haven't.
This is the Brihat Bhagavatamrita.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be
In my
lovely, Muni Prabhu. That's
Yes.
fantastic. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
We could do polls on here, but I mean, why don't you discuss it amongst yourselves? I mean, I'm happy to do read. I would. We have Bhagavatamrita. It'd be good because in one sense, because I haven't read this for many years, about 15 years, and I would like to read it again. I like to study it and read it in a group. But so we got 2 days.
No, we've decided. I've got it already. It jumped up.
Oh, wow, look at that.
On my
Very
table.
bold.
Haribol.
Very bold. Let's start that. That's fantastic. Good idea.
Okay, let's start Brihat Bhagavatamrita. If anyone strongly feels they want to do another book, please let Chandravali know. If not, we go ahead with that, and then we can decide in regards when we finish Sutta Bhakti-Chintamani what you want to do or what we want to do. Yeah,
Yes.
but that won't
Thank
be
you.
finished. We got another 4, perhaps even Sutta Bhakti-Chintamani. I reckon we got about 4 or 5 classes left.
So we have enough time to think about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Then we
All
can
right,
go
it's a
to
bit late now.
Okay,
Should we
thank you so much,
say-
Muni Prabhu.
Thank you, everyone.